I just built an automation where a law firm's intake process, the form, the client email, the CRM entry, the attorney notification, all of it runs without anyone at the firm touching a thing. Let me show you exactly how I built it. Picture what this looks like without any automation. A potential client fills out a contact form on the firm's website. That form lands in someone's inbox, usually a paralegal or receptionist. They then manually type the client's name, phone number, email, and case description into a spreadsheet or whatever CRM they're using. Then they draft and send a confirmation email. They then have to notify the attorney somehow, a text, a Slack message, an email. If you're getting 10 inquiries a week, that's 3 to 4 hours of pure data entry every week. Nobody's getting paid specifically to do that. It just has to get done. And here's the thing, the moment the client hits submit, all of that information already existed. Every step after that is just a waste. Okay, so let's look at what Claude Code built for us in just a few minutes. So this is the entire flow. This is the intake form. It's asking for my name, email, phone, case type, case description. And so what I'm going to do next is just hit submit. So this is simulating a client filling out an attorney form. All right, and you'll see the flow has started and it is already complete. Let's look at the CRM. You'll see that my details are populated in a Google Sheets that we're using as a CRM. I'll move over to Slack. You'll see that my details are already mentioned, and this can go as a notification to the attorney. And now let's look at the email. You'll see I've received the email. It says, "Thank you for contacting us." It's got details about the case. Isn't this just wonderful? So to build this out, we do need an IDE first. An IDE is just a place where Claude Code can help you write the code in. And so what you need to do, if you've never heard of it, you're going to use Visual Studio Code, which is an IDE. Just type Visual Studio Code on Google and hit download for Mac OS or your PC. And once that is downloaded, this is the symbol that denotes it. You've got to open this up, and this is what it will look like. Next, we're going to go to extensions, and we're going to type Claude Code in the search bar. You'll see I already have it installed. I click on it, and this is what comes up. When you install this, you'll now see a small little orange icon which indicates Claude Code in the top right. We're going to open that up by clicking it, close out of this, and now you're ready to chat with Claude Code. Now to build this workflow out, still have a missing element. We need n8n's MCP configured to our Claude Code. So let's see how to do that next. Alright, so this is the link where we can download n8n's MCP server from. I'm going to link it in the description below. What we need to do next is just go to Visual Studio Code and say, hey, go to this link and download n8n's MCP server for Claude Code, right? And what it's going to do is pick all of that information from that website and create these files for you. That is going to help us eventually connect our VS Code, which has Claude Code in it, to n8n. Next, what we need to do is actually create an API key for n8n. Remember, Claude Code needs to still be able to connect to n8n, which is going to happen through an API key that we give to Claude Code. And so we are going to go to our n8n instance. We're going to go to Settings, n8n API. We're going to click Create an API key. We're going to name it whatever you want. We're going to have an expiration date for it and click Save. Once you click Save, you're going to see that API key on your screen. You're going to click on Copy and then go back to Visual Studio Code And then we need to provide the API key in this mcp.json file. There's going to be a place specifically that says n8n's API key. There's also going to be other details that you'll need to provide, such as the URL of your n8n instance. And once you do that, you're all set. All right, so I've come back to Claude Code, and what I've typed is very simple. I'm saying, hey, build an n8n workflow for a law firm's client intake process. It should receive the lead info from the form. It should route the info to an AI agent that summarizes the case description and then sends a confirmation email to the client, logs it in a CRM, which is going to be Google Sheets for us, and then sends a Slack notification to a specific channel. So I'm going to hit on send. Remember, I'm in the bypass permissions mode, and we will see what kind of magic Claude Code comes up with. So you can see it started thinking. It's connecting to n8n in the backend because we've specified that we want an n8n workflow. And you'll see it's coming up with a workflow design. It's hitting in n8n's MCP, which means it's able to create access nodes. And I'm going to let this run for just a few minutes, and I'm going to be back when it's ready for us. Like Claude Code has finished up. You can see it's giving us details on what it did for the client intake pipeline. It's saying there are some required steps before activating, which is expected. It's asking us to set up our OpenAI credentials, Google Sheet IDs, the tab in the Google Sheet, the Slack channel, Slack credentials, and Gmail credentials, right? All of this we know. So let's go back and see what it built. This is what it came up with. Doesn't it look wonderful? So it's got a webhook over here, and this is going to be able to get the information or the form data. Then it sends it to an AI. I'm going to take you step by step by opening up each node and then configuring it to as we need it to work. So with this workflow, I see there's a few things I need to tweak. And with Claude Code creating your n8n workflow, there's a good chance that it won't get it exactly the way you want it on the first try. So for example, for this first node, you'll see it's taking a webhook trigger. I'd rather have, just for the purposes of this demo, for it to use an n8n native form node instead. I'm also going to ask it to use an AI agent node, which is, again, a very useful node in n8n for the second one. And we're going to ask Claude Code to make these changes. And guess what? It's very simple to do so. What I'm going to do next is just go back to Visual Studio and type the following. I need you to make the following changes. Change the webhook form trigger node to the n8n form trigger node. Use an AI agent node to summarize the case description. And for the Google Sheets integration, use the following fields. Then I'm going to just shoot it off. And let's see what it does with that information. So you can see it's thinking it's going to access n8n again. And when it's done, we'll pick it right back up. The code has finished up. Guess what it's saying? It says it's updated the n8n form trigger. It's also updated the AI agent node, which is the newer node, and it looks like it's ready for us. So I'm going to go back to our n8n setup, and you'll see now there is a difference. I just refreshed this page, and you can see there's a new form. There is an AI case analysis, and this is the AI agent node that we were talking about, and the flow seems to be ready for us. So I'm going to hit or click on intake form, and we'll take it step by step. So when I say execute step, this is going to open up a new form. So the fields I have set up are my name, the email, the phone number, the case type, this time being family law, case description saying it's estate planning. So I'm going to click on submit. And what this is going to do is you can see that all of this information is now available after this node. So it picked up all of this information. This node is done. And then we're going to run the AI case analysis. If I open up this node over here, You can see that it's written a pretty neat description saying, hey, you're a legal intake analyst. The required JSON format is so and so. You're going to get a case type. You're going to get a case description. And it's asking it to analyze the following client submission. So I'm going to hit execute step and see what it comes up with. So as you'll see in the output, it's saying the client is seeking legal assistance with estate planning under the family law practice area. Beautiful. There's more information there, but we're going to go on to the next step. And it's probably what it's done here is just parse that information just so it's more neatly available to the nodes that follow. So I'm going to click each of these one by one, and if we ran this workflow right from the start, and so if I click the execute workflow button instead of going node by node, it would have triggered all of these three at the same time. So I'm going to click on this. It should have sent the email. I'm going to open this up. And here, one thing we've got to do is I'm going to pick it from a list. And this is my Google Sheet. So I'm going to say intake law form, by sheet, client intake. And then for the Slack node in particular, what I'm going to say is I want to shoot this message off to a channel. And so I'm just going to provide the name of the channel, which, if you remember from this in the start of the video, was client intake. So we're going to hit this node as well and hit this node too. So let's look at this email first up. Here we see we've received the email. It says case intake has been received. It's given us a case summary, what happens next. You can see it's very smartly even included the client's phone number in here. And it's just such a well-written email that looks professional, doesn't it? Next, we'll move on to the Excel sheet. You'll see that it has a new entry now where there's the name, the phone number, family law, and the AI summary for what the case is likely to be about. And then finally, moving on to Slack, you'll see we have a new notification for this client for family law. The AI summary is included. And so what we've been able to do is notify the attorney, send the client an email, and also log it to our CRM. Isn't it just amazing? And that's the full intake workflow running end to end. 1 form submission and 3 automated outputs with 0 manual work. What I want you to take away from this isn't just the workflow itself, it's the pattern. Any process where a human is manually typing or moving information from one place to another and making a simple judgment call on top of it is a candidate for exactly this type of automation. If you want to see what this looks like for a different type of business, I'm thinking med spas or recruiting agencies next, subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you're in a firm or on a team where you're doing this kind of work manually right now, drop a comment. I read all of them.